Heritage Parkway off Highway 90 in Broussard.
Whether it's a tempting text message or a quick glance at your GPS, taking your eyes off the road for just a moment can have serious consequences. This includes turning around or reaching down. Distracted driving includes eating or putting on makeup. Distracted driving is anything that diverts your attention from driving. I'm Lorraine Luquette Vinoy with Service Chevrolet Cadillac, encouraging you to drive smart, drive safe, and keep those eyes on the road, Acadiana. This message is powered by Service Chevrolet Cadillac and this radio station, where safety meets style on the road.
Oh, look who's here.
Everybody Loves Raymond is on MeTV.
Who told you that?
Raymond!
America's #1 classic TV network.
Nothing even comes close.
Enjoy 2 back-to-back episodes every weeknight.
We're doing it twice.
Watch Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, it's all about you, Raymond.
Weeknights starting at 8 on MeTV.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Karen Crow Lafayette, KLCJ-FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros took 2 out of 3 from the Cleveland Guardians at home this past weekend, including a 9-3 win on Friday, where Jose Altuve and Jeremy Pena combined for 3 home runs. The series win improved the team's record to 37-42. Next up is a road series against the Toronto Blue Jays. Game 1 is tonight with first pitch from the Rogers Center scheduled for 6:07. You can listen to the action on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles. It'll be a winner-take-all Game 3 tonight in Charles Schwab Field to decide a College World Series champion. Oklahoma won Game 1 9-3 in 14 innings on Saturday, but North Carolina kept itself alive by winning 6-2 yesterday. Tonight's Game 3 will begin at 6 o'clock. The United States once again won convincingly in the World Cup, beating Australia 2-0 back on Friday afternoon. The win secured Group D and will advance the team to the knockout stages with one match to go against Turkey A. This is the first time in World Cup history that the U.S. has won its group with one game to go. Once again, Wyndham Clark is your U.S. Open champion after hanging on a wire-to-wire finish at Shinnecock in Long Island. He won with a score of 4 under, with LSU's Sam Burns just behind at 3 under. This is the second time that Clark has won this major. I'm James Mesh, and this has been your 2-minute drill on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana Sports Station, your home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Dawson Iserloh prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the LohDown, ESPN 1037 in Lafayette, 1041 in Lake Charles. The ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app brings you the show wherever you may be, and now our YouTube channel does as well. ESPN_SWLA, we're streaming our shows live over there on that platform each and every time we go live. We go live here from the Beal and Hebert studios in Upper Lafayette. Beal and Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers. We have got a lot to recap. It is a busy Monday edition of the show because it was a busy sporting weekend. We mentioned it, kind of one of the last big ones, we imagine, at least we think, before the summer slows some things down. But we had World Cup matches going all the way through. We had the U.S. Open, of course. We had the College World Series finals. The Astros, of course, still rolling along. So plenty of topics. Now the NBA draft is just a day away. We get some big-time news. The Giannis stuff, which could be resolved any minute now. James's mood could change drastically, perhaps, given that Boston's been named a finalist there. It's the Heat and the Celtics that appear to be battling for his services. You just got a lot to get to. So we will do that here on a Monday, hanging out inside the studios. We've only got one guest, which is tradition here on Mondays. Jay Walker, voice of the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, joins us in the second hour. For the second straight week, though, it'll probably be, a mixture of topics with Jay because there isn't a whole lot of direct Cajuns information to get to, but we'll talk about a few things Cajuns related, and then we'll obviously have an opportunity to ask him about some other stuff. Man, really interesting viewing experience, I'd say, this weekend to watch the way the U.S. Open went down and to watch the way, the College World Series finals. I think those were a little bit more traditional, but like some of the World Cup stuff as well. I know some of the studio coverage has really been dissected here with who they've had in the booth and the maybe lack of team chemistry, I guess you could describe it as. And then the same thing with the way the U.S. Open was portrayed down the stretch. Like, it was just really interesting. Some things you don't see very often. I think that's what jumped out to me about what this weekend ended up turning into. By the way, I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention, they had a NASCAR race at a naval base in San Diego. So, we did a lot of, there was a lot of unique things about this weekend. And all in all, I think for me, the one that grabbed my attention the most is what happened at Shinnecock Hills. You probably know about it by now, but let's go through how it happened. Let's talk a little U.S. Open on today's edition of Locked In.
D-Loh is the kind of guy that stays locked in. On what? Well, that depends on the night. But you can guarantee there was some sporting event that he found interesting. It's time to find out what D-Loh was locked in on the LohDown.
Okay, so if you listen to the show on Friday, the second round of the U.S. Open was taking place, and so we had a leaderboard shaping up, and we could kind of see the writing on the wall, right? Wyndham Clark was having an unbelievable start to this tournament. So I spent a good amount of time kind of talking about my thoughts on the situation, and I said, look, I don't ever like to make it super personal because I don't know most of these guys. I mean, almost any of them, right? So it's never about that, but just my perception of it. I don't like Wyndham Clark that much. Didn't love him when he won the first U.S. Open. Just didn't think the personality just wasn't my favorite guy. And then watched the Full Swing documentary about it. I certainly appreciate his story. Look, the guy, Wyndham Clark, lost his mom to breast cancer, as did I. There's certainly some things that I, kind of related to about his story. He had a mental health coach that helped him get through a lot of stuff. I'm not knocking any of that. I did think they harped on it a lot on the broadcast this weekend, but I get it because he's winning the tournament and he's the guy that you're going to talk about when he's winning the tournament by 5 shots for a lot of the weekend. The big problem that a lot of people have with him, the thing he's most famously disliked for, is that at last year's U.S. Open, he played particularly poorly, and he apparently smashed the heck out of the locker room and destroyed it. And, it's the U.S. Open, dude. You don't have the right to act like that in any public setting or any setting, period, much less a place with as much respect as the national championship golf tournament, right? So there's a lot of people that aren't big fans of him. But even saying this, I was kind of, the fan in me was just like, hey, I'm rooting against him, whatever. I didn't expect the world to be rooting against him on Sunday, and that's what happened. And look, for those of you, I know plenty of you probably do tune into the majors more than the regular golf tournaments, right? So you'll know when it's the U.S. Open, the Americans like rooting for the Americans, And look, the PGA Tour has more American players than international, right? But there's a nice mix because you got the Rorys, Rory, very prominent player who's not from here. John Rahm's from Spain. There's plenty of players from other places, right? And so typically what happens is when Rory McIlroy's been in contention to try and win the U.S. Open, people have kind of rooted against him at the course I'm talking about, like the cheer levels when he gets up there. It's not quite the Ryder Cup, which is supposed to be my country against your country or my, area, since it's Europe as a whole, against your area. But typically, if there's an American in the running down the stretch of the U.S. Open, they get cheered on. It's just, and golf in general, it's changed a little bit. I think there's probably a lot more unpopular golfers just because, and honestly, this would be an interesting conversation to maybe open up, on a different day, but more of these guys' personalities are more well-known now, right? Because they portray themselves a certain way on YouTube, right? Bryson DeChambeau has a lot more fans than he would have had 10, 15 years ago because of his YouTube channel, and he has a lot more haters than he probably would have had 10, 15 years ago because of his YouTube channel. And it's the same way for a lot of different guys, right? So my point is that it's not new for there to be more polarizing things in the world of golf, and maybe there's a handful of golfers that are just not as well liked as others. But this is all leading me into what happens on Sunday at the United States Open that just blew my mind. Wyndham Clark was actively rooted against. Hardly. Like with venom, like with real excitement. People were excited to see Wyndham Clark fail on Sunday, if it were to have happened. He goes into Sunday with a big lead, 5-shot lead. Scotty is, of all people, in the final pairing with him, one of 4 golfers, I think, that were tied at 1 under par. Clark was 6 under. So, certainly you go into Sunday and the thought process is, all right, maybe Scotty can go out, put down to 66 or 67, put some pressure on Clark, and we'll see if he holds up. I think that's what most of us who were, wanting to see someone other than Clark win, we're kind of thinking that's the path, right? Scotty did not do that. He did not have it. This continues a trend. And isn't it funny, too? On one hand, I thought about having the conversation. This was more of when Scotty was like middle of the pack on early in the weekend, where I thought about, am I going to go in and do the whole, hey, I just don't think Scotty has that competitive fire that Tiger had to be the guy that's everyone's chasing, because he's now had a stretch of majors where he hasn't been super, in the mix. But at the same time, the dude was in the final pairing going into Sunday. So I don't think that's exactly fair. When Scotty, quote unquote, doesn't have it and he's finishing top 5 at major championships, like I think that is also actually a reason of how darn good he is, as opposed to him, not. And it's also a pretty futile effort if we're going to continue to try to compare him to Tiger. I think we've talked about that in the past. But anyway, he didn't put the pressure on. Of all people to put the pressure on, it's our guy, Sam Burns. Y'all have heard me talk about Sam Burns a lot. I really like Sam. He's an LSU Tiger alum, so there's a little bit of a local influence there. He's a North Louisiana native. This is a guy who has been a really, really good tour player. I mean, one of the best players to come out of LSU in a long time, right? And one of the best Louisiana natives on the tour in a long time as well. He's won some events. He's never won a major. He's been in the mix, though. And last year's U.S. Open, he was down there. And Burns has given himself the reputation, and I say given himself because of a guy who just doesn't quite have what it takes to stay in contention on Sundays, right? Choke artist is a strong term, and I don't know if I'd use it in this situation, but Burns has certainly melted under the pressure a handful of times in his career. So you always wonder, and I got a couple of buddies who, one of which is a big-time Sam Burns fan, has been following his career since college and all this stuff, and he's actually the one who kind of doubled down on it. He was like, well, he's going to be in the mix on Thursday and Friday, and then there's going to be that costly double bogey on Sunday that's going to take him out of it. And, we joked about it. That did not happen on Sunday. Sam Burns was awesome yesterday, and he came from back in the pack a little bit, right? He did not begin the day as one of those golfers that was in the 1 under group that we thought maybe had the best chance to get to Wyndham. He was at even par. He makes 3 birdies in his first 5 holes, including at the par 4 first, the par 4 third, and the par 5 fifth. Makes another one at the 8th hole to get himself to 4 under for the day and 4 under for the tournament. Wyndham would have a couple of slip-ups. He made 3 bogeys in his first 7. That knocked him down from -6 to -3. And so at one point, all of a sudden you look up and you go, hey, Sam Burns has a shot here. And he was up there, right in the mix. Down the stretch, couple of just really tough ones for Burns to swallow, right? He makes bogey at the 15th, but he gets it back with a birdie, I should say, at the par 5 16th. So he's a few holes ahead, right? He's a few groups ahead of Wyndham Clark, so he's trying to put that number on the scoreboard that Clark has to chase. 17 and 18, 2 putts that just really he had a shot to get something done here. And it would have been really fun, I think, to watch it play out. But ultimately, especially that putt on 18, Burns thought he made it. You saw the reaction. He flipped the putter, put his hands into his head. And here's the thing, and I had sent this text out. I said, if he gets to 4 under, I love his chances. I think Sam knew he had to get to 4 under as well. And so you could just see the wind kind of go out of his sail there. He puts together an incredible round of 67, 3 under par at a par 70 course. Matches JT Poston, who also put together a 3 under score to get to even on the day. Just one off of the low round of the day, which was put together by both Ludwig Oberg and Joaquin Niemann. And then he had to wait. And so Wyndham Clark comes down the stretch here after looking a little rocky in those first 7 holes. He got one back at the 10th, gave it back, though, at the 13th. Makes birdie at the par 5 16th, hits another long putt. Clark in these long putts, man, they were just all weekend long. He just kept hitting them. But he gives it back at the 17th with the short miss. So you go to the 18th hole, you go, he's got to make par to win the U.S. Open. And ironically enough, it's almost the exact same situation he was given at LACC 3 years ago when he won his first. And that was tough iron shot into a long par 4, which he did. He hit it to about 65 feet at LACC. He hit it to 52 feet yesterday. And then the pressure's on to make a good putt, right? Because 3 putting from 55 feet at the U.S. Open is certainly something that's happened plenty of times before. He did it at LACC, cozied it up there, made the par putt, and yesterday did it again. Lag putt, beautiful, to 1 foot, taps it in, stress-free. And Wyndham Clark is your 2-time now U.S. Open champion. But I go back to the crowd being against this guy. You had people supposedly also escorted off the property for really heckling him hard early on and kind of crossing that line of what's acceptable at a golf tournament, because we know golf tournaments have slightly different rules for fans than most sporting events do. So we had people escorted off the property because they were rooting against Clark so hard. You had cheers for every putt he missed. You had roars for every birdie made by Burns and guys like Tom Kim. Whoever else had a shot to run him down, people were roaring for them, and they were booing, essentially, Wyndham Clark the entire day. But I will say this, and whether I'm the biggest fan of the guy or not, I got to give him major credit for it. And he said, he's like, hey, I hope I can win some of the fans back. And he does deserve the opportunity to, have people forgive him for what he did last year. I think there's a little more of just a general kind of personality thing that turned some people off from him. It's more than just the incident in the locker room, but that certainly has a big role with it. But what I can't deny is the dude stared down the face of pressure. And what was a tournament that, and I've said this before about golf sometimes, and we do this when when the fans have gone against Rory or something like that over the years. At least in a college football game, when you're LSU and you got to go play on the road at Texas A&M, you know what you're getting yourself into, right? Hey, we're going to play in a hostile environment. You prep all week for that stuff. Maybe you get a little extra crowd noise in the facility at practice that week, right? Your coaches are constantly telling you, hey, it's going to be hostile. They're going to be trying to get under your skin. You're against them. Let's go into this. Wyndham Clark likely doesn't go into this weekend at all thinking he's going to turn into some villain on Sunday that everyone's rooting against. So to have the mental fortitude, which he's talked about in the past, his battles with, the mental side of the game, for him to not be shaken by some of that stuff. And I didn't find myself rooting for him at the end, but I will say it's not normal behavior by golf fans to be that against the guy, again, especially an American at the U.S. Open. So when he hit the long putt on 16 and gave the fist pump, I was kind of thinking to myself, man, if I were him, I'd be almost giving it back to the fans a little bit, right? Now, that's where you probably walk that line, and credit to him. He kind of stayed cool and calm because he knew he had to hit some more big shots the rest of the way, and he was able to close it out. It was just a strange atmosphere. I don't know if I've ever seen it go that way, especially, again, at your own National Open. You're not a foreigner on these lands, right? You're not expecting it the way maybe Rory has come to expect it at some point. But he stood up in the face of pressure. And so, again, to close it out, Sam Burns was awesome. And I wonder if this is something that can jumpstart him, because he's had his shortcomings in these big events down the stretch. He's had his Sunday pitfalls, and he did everything he really could do. I still don't know how that putt didn't fall on 18, to be honest with you. And who knows? Maybe there'd have been a playoff, and maybe we'd have seen if Sam could go up head-to-head. I wanted a playoff so bad, too, not only because it'd be awesome to watch Sam compete in it, but, that would have really been the whole home court advantage thing. I mean, they would have been roaring for Sam, and they would have been just letting Wyndham have it if we got into a sudden death heads-up playoff. One of the rules, by the way, of the U.S. Open that I miss, a lot of people, this is for real sickos like me. For those who don't know this, up until 5 years ago, the U.S. Open had an 18-hole playoff. So if you went tied at the end of 18 holes, 72 holes, I guess, 4 rounds of golf, right? Let's say there's 3 players tied. Most tournaments, right, you play 1 hole and it's sudden death. At the U.S. Open, you would go back on Monday and play 18 holes, and that's how they settled it. They were like, you know what? If it's tied, we're going to play 18, and then if it was tied again, we're going to play 18 more. It was kind of ridiculous. It kind of didn't make a whole lot of sense, but it was awesome, and it was only for the U.S. Open. I do miss those days. We could have had one of those yesterday. Think about that. Right now, Wyndham Clark and Sam Burns teeing it up to play 18 more. Whoever can get off of work on Monday in New York can go watch this 18-hole playoff. I do miss that rule, but it is no longer a thing. I think there are still tournaments with 3-hole aggregate playoffs, which is kind of the most extended you get. These things are, they're not made for TV, right? They weren't, at least when the U.S. Open made that rule. So I think that's ultimately why they changed it. But I do always have that thought every time we get close to a playoff in a U.S. Open. All right, that'll do it for Locked In. Let's go ahead and take a timeout. We'll reset some stuff. We'll give you some other thoughts on things happening around the world of college sports after this break. This is the LohDown, ESPN Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Storm season has arrived. That has never been more obvious. Of course, we had a lot of bad weather rip through the area and really affect New Orleans right down the road in the last week or so. So our friends over at Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley bring you these hurricane safety tips. Make sure to secure your home and bring in outdoor items before the storm makes landfall. Have an emergency kit stocked with food, water, and medications. Know your evacuation routes and listen to local authorities. Stay informed with the battery-powered radio and make sure you have fresh batteries. Remember, safety is in your hands, and you always want to be ready before this happens, right? Preparation as opposed to reactions. These hurricane preparedness tips are powered by Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley, your local Generac dealer. Visit midsouthpowersolutions.com.
Hello, everyone. This is Jeff Palermo. Join us on Tuesday nights for Tiger Rag Radio. Myself, Todd Horn, and Glenn Gilbo give you the latest happenings in Tiger Town and across the SEC. We talk to coaches, analysts, and those in the know when it comes to the Tigers and the Southeastern Conference. We cover all the sports: football, baseball, basketball, softball, and gymnastics. That's Tuesday nights right here on ESPN 1037 in Lafayette and 1041 in Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
The best businesses aren't just businesses, they're neighbors. Here's a message from a proud certified South Louisiana business.
Brobridge Truck Stop Casino. They have the newest games around. Hot seat drawings and monthly specials like no one else. Located on the Brobridge Highway and on the banks of the Vermilion River. Come out today and try your luck at the Brobridge Truck Stop Casino.
When you support local businesses, you strengthen the communities we call home. Shop local, support local, certified South Louisiana.
Ozempic, Wegovy, GLP-1s. Every day, one thought haunts you. What if I stop? A 2026 British Medical Journal study says you're going to gain every pound back. So, what now? Well, there's an answer. Alex Goen patented hypnosis. The Journal of the American Medical Association says adding behavior therapy to GLP-1s produces 3 times the results than GLP-1s alone. And hypnosis is behavior therapy concentrated. Alex Goen Hypnosis is the only U.S. patented hypnosis proven useful by the U.S. Patent Office. Engineered to destroy cravings, make you full on half the food, and kill late-night fridge attacks. Only $59.99 or your money back. Weight loss seminar Saturday, July 18th at the Hilton Garden Inn Cajun Dome, 11 a.m. Sign up at alexgoen.com. That's ALEXGOEN.com.
Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer, no chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3-gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler or even single-serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then contact us tab or 337-519-3563.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices. To learn more, visit govote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
You know the routine. Eat, sleep, sports talk, repeat.
Well, up and at 'em. We're here.
Here is more daily sports talk from ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles.
Okay, we are back here on the LohDown Monday edition of the show. By the way, just a little live update for you. I am going to do Red Card Rundown, our look at what's happening in the World Cup each and every day during the tournament. I'm going to do that in the second hour, but I will at least let you know that Austria and Argentina are going at it, the defending champs there. The Argentinians, of course, Lionel Messi and company, they are playing in Dallas. And in the first half, they're into the second half right now, but in the first half, Lionel Messi scored a goal to become the most prolific goal scorer in World Cup history. He actually missed a PK early that, Messi missing a PK opportunity doesn't happen very often. He missed that one, so everybody was losing their mind because obviously it was hyped up that he could become the biggest goal scorer in World Cup history with a goal in this game. He did get it done in the 38th minute, I believe, so Argentina leads Austria 1-0, thanks to Messi setting another record, being another part of history. And Argentina, very real contenders in this tournament, no doubt. Obviously, as the defending champs, they've got some more left on the table, and they would love to send Messi out with yet another World Cup win. So we'll do more soccer red card rundown in hour number 2. James Mesh is here, and we got some news this morning. Not like stunning news. This Giannis saga, every time I turn on the TV, it feels like one of the talk shows on the national networks since the finals ended, and even before that, their favorite thing to do now is say, well, where's the next superstar going to get traded? And so Giannis being quote-unquote available has caused this, conversation to go on for a long time. We find out today that it sounds like a deal's going to happen, and we're on deal watch, right? This could break any point during the show. If it does, we'll be sure to tell you. They say they're going to trade him, or there's at least reports out there that Milwaukee's going to trade him before the draft tomorrow night. The only 2 spots that seem to check all the boxes for potentially having enough of a package to give in return and Giannis signing off on are the Miami Heat, which I think, from what I've heard, is his preferred destination, and the Boston Celtics, which makes a lot of sense. A Jaylen Brown type deal would have to be the one that gets made, it sounds like. So, James, this is, with all those things, of course, I know the specifics of it will be what ultimately matter to whether or not you feel overwhelmingly excited about it or not, but I would imagine you're more than not going to be pro Giannis on your team, right? Is that the case?
Yeah, I'd be cool with it.
I will say this, it's clearly going to change, at least to an extent, how you guys play if you do it, right? Because I
would sure hope so.
Well, yes, but then there's also just been such an emphasis on the analytics and the three-point shooting and all that stuff that you guys do. And, it's only one player, but Giannis doesn't do any of that stuff. So that, that would just have to at least kind of recalibrate the mission, I guess, of what that front office and that coaching staff was trying to do.
Yeah, because looking at it, I'm also wondering how the starting 5 would look because...
And we're assuming Jaylen Brown's going to be a part of any deal, right?
He has to.
Yeah.
Because...
to make the money work and to just obviously have something that they would want.
Yeah, exactly. Give him something in return because, getting late first-round picks is only going to do so much. But I look at it as I'm wondering, would they just put Giannis at the 5? I feel like they wouldn't, but at the same time, they've been having Jason Tatum, who kind of feels like it doesn't look like it, but it feels like he keeps growing. And he's been playing the 4 for a little while for the Celtics, so unless they just keep Tatum at the 4 and then they put Giannis at the 5, I'm wondering if they just put Giannis at the 4 and then move Tatum up to the 3, which would kind of change things a little bit, but at the same time, Tatum's one of the primary ball handlers, so it feels like it wouldn't be the biggest adjustment in the world. It's just you put now, because at that point, whoever you have a point guard, whether it's like Peyton Pritchard or someone else that probably shoots the 3, you're also probably going to have Derek White, who also is a 3-and-D guy, Tatum, who shoots the 3, but then Giannis, who doesn't, and then at this moment in time, you keep Neemias Queta, who is more of a traditional type of center who doesn't have an outside game by any stretch of the imagination. So you already had one guy that couldn't shoot, but you relied on 4 shooters. Now that you bring in Giannis, do you now kind of adjust it in that sense of now pretty much your whole front court can't shoot a 3-point shot worth a lick?
Which is a complete departure then, right, from what they won their last championship doing. This is from Jake Weinbach, by the way, with Fansided. So I don't really, I don't know how legit and 100% this is, but he suggests that the package includes Jaylen Brown, Hugo Gonzalez, the number 27 overall pick tomorrow, and a 2027 first, which, as you alluded to, these are going to be late first as long as Boston's competing as we expect them to. That to me, Milwaukee, I guess, doesn't have all the leverage in the world because I don't know. That doesn't seem. Does Hugo Gonzalez really move the needle for you on this deal at all? I mean,
to say he's like the deciding factor, probably not. But I think he's like a solid player that was a rookie this year, and I felt like he started to have a better understanding of how to be a professional and started to be a little bit more and more effective as the season went along. Did he play a huge aspect for the Celtics in their wins? Not necessarily, but I think getting any sort of young players that were first-round picks, if you're the Milwaukee Bucks in return, I think makes the most sense of the world. I mean, he's still a young player that needs time to develop, and they're looking for young guys, and also with it being Jaylen Brown that would more likely than not be in the trade, Jaylen kind of feels like he's looking for his own team anyway, so he leads the young Bucks, pun intended, plus some other young players and whoever they end up getting in these next couple of drafts.
If he goes instead of Boston to Miami, now, and I would assume that one maybe, I don't know, a Tyler Hero type deal.
Yeah, you would have to
get
do
that
Tyler
done.
Hero and some other guys.
What do you make of who's it better for? You try and take your green glasses off here. Where's the best situation for Giannis to be in your opinion? I have a hard time feeling it's not Boston, to be honest with you.
Well,
especially given the pedigree of winning. Now the Heat actually, Heat culture and all that stuff, so they've got
quote,
that
unquote.
too. But
now I know that if you put the front court pairing of Bam, because like Bam's like an untouchable.
Hey, 81-point score, Bam.
Yeah, 83.
Oh, that's right. No, you're right.
Like having Bam and Giannis would just be a monstrosity for anybody else to have to try and defend. But I just don't look at the rest of the roster and feel all that impressed. Like I like Jaime Jaquez, who's coming off the bench, but who's to say he isn't even a part of this trade? Like I just look at the overall team, and I think the Heat have solid players. But for the solid players that they would have to get rid of, because I just don't think they have the same amount of players and tradable assets that the Boston Celtics do. And I also just feel like that Boston is closer to a championship and will get even closer compared to where the Miami Heat would be. Now, Ray and I, last week or 2 weeks ago, I can't remember when it was, we talked about the idea of, well, is there a mystery team that could pop up out of nowhere like the Rockets, where they've traded for superstars before and have traded young assets to do so? Felt like they could have been in the running, but it doesn't seem like they're necessarily in it. So if it is just Miami and Boston, as everything is pointing towards, I think he would rather go to Miami, but I feel like Boston is the better place for him to be.
I like that. And I think I mostly go along with the logic there. So we will see. This could be happening, it feels like, at any point. Last little bit of reporting that I was reading earlier did suggest that this is going to be a 2-team trade. So it's always, obviously in the NBA, 3-team trades are pretty common. Sometimes it makes sense. I do think they're a little harder to pull off, supposedly now with some of the new contract rules and stuff. And so it sounds like this deal will just include Boston and Milwaukee, or just Miami and Milwaukee, when and if it does happen before tomorrow's draft. Keep in mind the Pelicans, they have a pick. It's, it's almost the last one, but it's not the last one. 58 in the second round. They don't have any of their own picks left. The Derek Queen deal last year took up their first, so there is a chance they get back into the mix via a trade. I sure hope they don't trade Trey Murphy, but that's apparently a possibility. I saw a rumor floating around there that the Pelicans might be willing to deal Trey Murphy for their original pick from Atlanta back from last year. I was like, let's please not do that. No, let's not do that, because Trey Murphy is a really, really good player, and a draft pick is a question mark. So anyway, we'll see if the Pels do anything, and James will be keeping us up to date if they do with a blog on ESPNSouthwestLouisiana.com. Given the fact that they don't necessarily have a whole lot going on, but they could end up making a trade that puts them back into the mix. All right, for now, let's take a timeout. Let's go back through some other things that happened over the weekend. We still have College World Series finals to get to. We got some audio clips for you in the second hour as well, but we'll continue to kind of set the scene. We'll let you know about Game 3 happening tonight. We're going to crown another champion, the final champion of the calendar year in collegiate athletics. Well, not the calendar year, of the academic calendar year. I guess is a better way to say that. For now, we take a timeout. Back in 5. It's the LohDown.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh. Live on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Big things going on for our friends over at Small Sliders. No pun intended there, with the big and the small contradicting itself. But we know over there, first of all, the thing is it's going to be fresh and it's going to be good. I've told you that so many times before. I love stopping in because, especially in today's day and age, man, the thing about the quick lunch game is the variability is really the problem for me. You know, you go to maybe you really find something you like, and the next time you order it doesn't bring you up to that satisfaction level, and you're like, man, now I just never know. That's never a question with Smalls. It is good. It is consistent every single time. And one thing I wanted to let you know about, if you haven't been doing it, if you go to Small Sliders a good bit, you want to get their app. And when you download the app, you'll get rewards every time you slide through, whether it's a combo, whether you're getting a catering platter. You can earn yourself points, which can then convert into free sliders, fries, and more. It's fast, it's easy, so go ahead, join today, and make every order count at Small Sliders and on the Small Sliders app. 2 locations in the Lafayette area, one on Ambassador Caffrey, the other on Bertrand Drive.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros took 2 out of 3 from the Cleveland Guardians at home this past weekend, including a 9-3 win on Friday, where Jose Altuve and Jeremy Pena combined for 3 home runs. The series win improved the team's record to 37-42. Next up is a road series against the Toronto Blue Jays. Game 1 is tonight with first pitch from the Rogers Center scheduled for 6:07. You can listen to the action on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles. It'll be a winner-take-all Game 3 tonight in Charles Schwab Field to decide a College World Series champion. Oklahoma won Game 1 9-3 in 14 innings on Saturday, but North Carolina kept itself alive by winning 6-2 yesterday. Tonight's Game 3 will begin at 6 o'clock. The United States once again won convincingly in the World Cup, beating Australia 2-0 back on Friday afternoon. The win secured Group D and will advance the team to the knockout stages with one match to go against Turkey A. This is the first time in World Cup history that the U.S. has won its group with one game to go. Once again, Wyndham Clark is your U.S. Open champion after hanging on a wire-to-wire finish at Shinnecock in Long Island. He won with a score of 4 under, with LSU's Sam Burns just behind at 3 under. This is the second time that Clark has won this major. I'm James Mesh, and this has been your 2-minute drill on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana Sports Station, your home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Row coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
Imagine building your dream backyard pool without ever leaving your couch. With Duplessis Builders, you can go shop our in-ground gunite pool packages online, start to finish. Browse our pool designs, compare features, see exactly what's included, and choose the package that fits your style and budget. Once you purchase, our team takes over. From permit and excavation to gunite decking and final startup, you click, we build, you swim. Your backyard upgrade is just a few clicks away. Visit DuplessisBuilders.net and buy your pool online today.
When strength matters, go to apfabllp.com. Precision built to last, from heavy-duty aluminum structural welding using TIG, MIG, and stick to custom metal fabrication designed exactly for your project. Need safety inspections, weld analysis, or 24-hour metal repairs? Trust A&P to get the job done. For quality craftsmanship and dependable service, visit apfabllp.com. That's apfabllp.com. A&P Fabrication and Construction. Built strong, built right.
Every weeknight, MeTV has your laugh therapy.
To chase away the blues or the olive drabs.
With 2 hours of MASH at 5.
This guy's ankle has tickled my funny bone.
Followed by the Andy Griffith Show at 7.
Doggone it, Otis. You're supposed to be hugging me when I'm arresting you. But he likes you, Bart.
Weeknights on MeTV.
Watch Meet TV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices. To learn more, visit govote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
I've been driving trucks for a long time, and safety is my #1 priority. I know that my truck has huge blind spots. That's why I remember to check my mirrors often for smaller vehicles. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're behind the wheel, try to avoid lingering in those blind spots. It can be dangerous. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
You're listening to the 2026 LAB Award winner for Radio Young Professional of the Year, Dawson Iserloh, the host of the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
The LohDown continues on here. We are going to talk some more College World Series finals in the second hour. I'll have some audio and stuff from the first couple games because I've had, obviously, a good time watching this series. And I got my one wish. My one wish was, if you missed the show on Friday, I did pick Oklahoma to win the series, but I said I just want a Game 3 because I wanted something to kind of look forward to and be fired up about going into tonight. And that is what we got because after Oklahoma was, again, just continuously, they've been so good. They kept all that momentum going. Dayton LaChance is unbelievable. They win the first game, but UNC does fight back. And by the way, Oklahoma did it against DeCaro, the ace for the Tar Heels, which stunned me a little bit how much they got to him. But then UNC, and they had the pitching thing with the guy getting injured. And it was a great comeback win yesterday. Tar Heels even up the series 1 game apiece. So we get a winner-take-all. We get one last college baseball game to take in the sights and sounds of Omaha, Nebraska, everything that is that sport that I love so much. We will decide a champion tonight, and so that is the good news, as I mentioned. We'll do more on that in the second hour with some clips from Carl Ravitch calling the action, which I've enjoyed, as always, the presentation of those games as well. And since they are broadcasted on the ESPN Family Networks, we'll have the ability to tell you what it sounded like as the games went on over the weekend. I did want to mention some other basketball news, though, that's pretty big that came out today, and that is the hiring of Dusty May by the Dallas Mavericks. So, Dusty May, pretty incredible 2-year, 3-year stretch for Dusty May. He goes from taking Florida Atlantic to the Final Four to landing the Michigan job, becoming this portal wizard at Michigan, bringing the Michigan Wolverines to a national championship, and now getting a job in an NBA franchise that is historically a very competitive one, championship caliber aspirations for them, and has one of the best young, exciting players in the league, and Cooper Flagg on it. All in the span of a handful of years. So that is what Dusty May has been doing. Makes you feel a little bit lesser about yourself, I'm sure. But he takes that job. It is very interesting that some of the reasons being talked about were the state of college athletics. And Dusty May was, apparently hinting at the fact that, hey, man, like not knowing where this sport's going in the next 5 years, much less what it's going to look like tomorrow and then the next day, it was concerning. And for someone who just went to the pinnacle of that sport and won a national championship, for those things to be coming out. And again, I would wait. I will love to see. And maybe Dusty May, look, now that he's out of it, maybe he does like a long sit down and we get a really good, piece on this or article, whatever. I don't think every time a coach leaves the sport and goes to professional sports, we should be sitting there going, there's problems. But I think we have a lot of reason to already know that there's problems in college athletics and in college basketball specifically, so that when it also happens, in addition to everything else, we can go, yeah, this is another check mark let's try that one more time, check mark of a box that is concerning to me as a consumer of the product, right? Because it's one thing when some of the older coaches say, hey, you know what, I'm going to get out of this. And you get a Roy Williams who gets out of it and a Coach K who gets out of it. That's one thing. Then we saw Jay Wright. Jay Wright, it seemed like, was, still in the prime of his coaching career. Says, I'm good. National championship winning coach Villanova. He gets out of the mix. We're seeing more and more of those. And now, again, a guy in Dusty May who's in the prime of his coaching abilities. It's not automatically because, look, a lot of, sometimes the pro lifestyle is just different. If I was in the coaching world and I was really successful at the college level and I had opportunities to go do it at the pro level and get a whole lot of my free time back in the offseason, not have to recruit, just be able to focus on basketball, I'd probably have to consider that as well, and so maybe that's all it is for Dusty here. But since these things are coming out around it, sounds like there's, where there's smoke, there might be some fire there. It is another thing to evaluate in the health of what is an ever-changing economy of this thing. And, look, we had Dr. Maggard on last week and talked about some of the things at UL. And I credit people who have a good positive attitude about it. I think Coach Calipari over at Arkansas has been, I think I've valued some of the things he said about it. As long as it doesn't get fully transactional and it's still transformational, in his opinion, he'll be staying around. I think that's something he said on College Game Day last year. Your definition of what transactional means, that's going to be tested in this new market, in this new world of it, right? And I think there's a lot of coaches that have probably evaluated it and said, yeah, it looks pretty transactional to me right now. That's not what I wanted to be in. If you have a really good perspective on it and you still, really enjoy, and I know, I've talked to a lot of people in college athletics, the relationships with young people, the ability to watch an 18-year-old kid arrive on campus and mold into something better and a better version of himself, both athletically and academically and whatever else over a course of 4 years, that stuff still drives them and motivates them. It's maybe a little bit rarer, but it still happens. And that's another thing I was thinking about recently when we talked about the transfer portal turnover with the UL football roster. The fact that they've been able to retain, I don't have exact numbers in front of me, but I think it's somewhere around 80 to 85% of their roster year in, year out. So if you're someone like Coach Des, and I'm not putting words into his mouth, I don't know how much of this he values and thinks about, but where you love to see that progression of a player and a person from the time they get to campus to the time they leave, the Cajuns have had a lot of those stories still take place, even once this world has changed, right? And we did have all that news about the baseball team, and on the other hand, hey, basketball's lost a ton of players here and there, and whenever there's a coaching change, that's obviously a given. But they lost some more of them last year, and so maybe it's not the same everywhere, but there are at least those moments where you look up and go, hey, I know we all said it's all about the portal and you lose everything good, but how about Cajuns football keeping, 80 of their 110 players from last year, whatever the number is. I'm not giving exacts here. So I don't know. It's just another thing that's really interesting to me. I like talking to coaches about this type of stuff and hearing different thoughts on it. And, it's also sometimes about what you're used to. I think about Jeff Willis and Coach Willis over at LSUE, who's won a bunch of national championships with them. We've had him on the show a bunch of times, and I've talked to him about a lot of different things like this. For him, this has probably been, it's still an adjustment, but it, clearly it doesn't happen at the same scale at the junior college level. It happens elsewhere. But, you only get 2 years of eligibility, right? JUCO. So he's been used to this whole kind of quick process. You get a player in, you work with them. Maybe they redshirt, maybe they're 3 years. Then you see them go on to the next thing. So I almost wonder, too, maybe junior college coaches, when you're looking to make a hire right now, maybe that is who you'd look for. Somebody who goes in and goes, yeah, I know I'm not going to have them for long. I'm going to try and make as big an impact on them as I can in the 2-year process, and then we're going to see them go on to bigger and better things. I don't, it's a dangerous thing to say, hey, some of these programs should start treating themselves like junior colleges and being willing to have a player for 2 years. But at the same time, that's kind of what's happening anyway. So does there come a point where somebody embraces it? And I'm mixed on it because I like to see the ULs of the world fight against it and still have some success, which they've had, feels like, in a lot of their sports. But some of these other schools are probably sitting there going, man, are we ever going to be able to keep the majority of our good players for 4 years? Maybe we do start operating in this different way, understanding we're going to get players taken from us. And some of them have already done that. So that's a lot of thoughts I have about, that just kind of spurred from this whole Dusty May leaving thing. But he is leaving to become the next head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. Michigan has announced an interim coach, but we'll see what they do as far as a coaching search. It's interesting for me, the timing. Now, of course, like the NBA's timeline just doesn't quite match up with college basketball's. College basketball's champion gets crowned in early April, and the NBA's gets crowned in early June. But it is pretty tough timing for the Wolverines, who, won a title and have probably been gathering everything up and getting ready to roll for a new season. And now their head coach leaves in the middle of off-season basketball workouts and stuff like that have begun. I mean, we're not that far away. We're going to be talking about the preseason stages of this thing in a couple of months. So we'll see what Michigan does. We'll see what, the portal dominoes are, as they always are in these spots. But that was a pretty big piece of news that came out this morning that I wanted to at least hit on today's edition of the show. All right. We'll take a time out here. Last one of the first hour. We do have a poll question of the day. It's kind of in conjunction with all the things we've already spoken about, but we'll ask you what you were locked in on over the weekend. And we got a lot left to get to in the second hour as well. This is the LohDown. Stay tuned.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Regional homes of Opelousas and ESPN 103.7 Lafayette, 104.1 Lake Charles want to help you celebrate America's 250th birthday. Only a couple weeks away from it, by the way. We are giving you the chance to win a 250th Anniversary of America flag and flagpole kit. Listen on air starting Monday, June 29th for the American Trivia question, and you could be one of our lucky winners. Tune in next week for this special giveaway. Salute and happy 250th birthday to America.
ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is your home for the Houston Astros.
And the Astros stun the Mariners.
Hunter Brown, Yordan Alvarez, and the rest of the Astros are looking to get back to the postseason. You can listen to every pitch, hit, and thrilling victory of the Houston Astros.
Incredible!
As Robert Ford and Steve Sparks will be on the call. Tune in this season for live Astros baseball on Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Everybody's talking about the big, beautiful bill, and it's game-changing for taxpayers. Hi, this is Kerry Bryson with the Bryson Law Firm. We've read the bill, and if you've been putting off a tax problem, it's time to call the Bryson Law Firm and get it resolved. This new legislation could give you a chance to get things straight with the IRS. Whether it's getting caught up on unfiled returns or negotiating IRS debts, there are a lot of new deductions and opportunities in the big, beautiful bill, and the Bryson Law Firm knows how to use them strategically. We've been staying on top of the tax changes in the big, beautiful bill, and we're ready to help our clients take full advantage. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Bryson Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Remember, if you have tax problems, you have legal problems. Call the Bryson Law Firm. Our headquarters are in Lafayette, and we have offices statewide. Or visit BrysonLawFirm.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm. The Bryson Law Firm. LSP filing number LA2519079.
MeTV is America's #1 classic entertainment television network. And here's one of the reasons everybody loves MeTV.
Oh, it's a classic.
The great comedy lineup on weeknights.
This will be fun. Come on.
With MASH.
Loaded with snappy comebacks.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I was just funning with Barney.
And Everybody Loves Raymond.
Now we got a show.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Man, I loved playing high school sports growing up. And it's fun being a fan now, don't get me wrong, but sitting in the stands feels like I'm missing out on all the action, you know? I wanted to get back in the game. So I signed up to be a high school official. It takes me back to my playing days. I'm supporting students, and I get paid to make the big calls. Do you want to see the game up close? Sign up to become an official in Louisiana at highschoolofficials.com.
Do yourself a favor and download the free ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app, powered by Moss Motors BMW for your Android or Apple devices. Download the app by searching ESPN 1037 Lafayette or ESPN 1041 Lake Charles. It's just that easy to take Southwest Louisiana's sports station with you wherever you go.
Argentina is still holding on to a 1-0 slim lead in the late stages of their Group J match against Austria. Austria looking for an equalizer. Messi becoming the most prolific goal scorer in FIFA World Cup history in the first half of this match with his 17th, which let me see the name here. I love these names. Sometimes they are a little bit tricky to say. I think I'm going to get this on the first try. Miroslav Klose. I think that's the name of the guy he passed up. Anyway, they are playing into the 90th minute right now, so we'll see if Austria, I keep wanting to say Australia, of course, two different countries, not anywhere near each other either. If Austria gets an equalizer or if Argentina is going to win the 3 points with this victory. Aside from that, we have more NBA news. Obviously, with the draft happening tomorrow, a lot of NBA stuff's going to go down. This one, not surprising, but we get the numbers. Trae Young is agreeing to an extension with the Washington Wizards. When the Wizards traded for him last year, it was widely speculated and thought that they would only be doing so if there was some sort of contract, handshake agreement that they felt like they were going to be able to get done because they wouldn't have wanted an asset that they weren't going to be keeping long term. So it is a 4-year, $212 million deal for Trae Young to stay with the Washington Wizards. There is a player option in the 4th season. He declined his $49 million player option because he wanted a longer-term deal. And in addition to that, looks like he gets more than the $49 million anyway because 212 divided by 4, quick math, that says $53 million a year for Trae Young. The Wizards are an interesting thing. They've been pretty irrelevant in the NBA for a long time. They've joined the Pelicans in that regard, but they traded for Anthony Davis and Trae Young last year. I don't know how much of that's going to be into the future and all this other things, but they got some young players that are somewhat exciting. I actually got to see the Wizards play live and in person when I went to a random Atlanta Hawks game last year. And I can't tell you, I was super fired up about their future after walking away from that contest. But, hey, maybe with Trae Young and company, and we'll see. Obviously, they're going to have a pretty important draft selection to make, and that could be the next thing for the Wizards in their future. I've always enjoyed the Wizards, logos and stuff, especially when they did their little rebrand. They went away from kind of the Magic Man looking thing, like the actual wizard, and now they just kind of more have a stand-in guy who could be a wizard but also has some American themology to it. So that's my opinions on the Washington Wizards that you did not ask for. The poll question of the day, we're asking you what you were locked in on. I say locked in on this show because that's a segment, but what were you paying most attention to over the weekend? You had the U.S. Open with the Wyndham Clark shenanigans. You had the College World Series finals, and as always, the World Cup rolling along. Right now, 40% of you say the U.S. Open, 30% apiece for the World Cup and the College World Series. So some nice distribution there. Pretty even voting so far. Ralph was tuned into all of them. Ton says the World Cup, but he didn't watch a whole lot of anything. College World Series is Kai's vote. Same with JBK. And Billy Bob says mostly the Astros, a little College World Series, and none of the other two. I do want to wish all the fathers out there one more happy Father's Day. Of course, hope you had a tremendous day yesterday. Had a chance for me to celebrate the day with my dad a little early last week, and then saw the father-in-law yesterday as well, so that was great. Hopefully you had the afternoon nap as the U.S. Open was ramping up that you dreamed about and desired all year long leading up to Father's Day. And maybe you're a Wyndham Clark fan out there. If you are, then you had a really good one. The rest of you might have been struggling through watching him win his second U.S. Open. 2-time major champion now, Wyndham Clark. That doesn't quite sound right coming off my tongue, but it is a fact. And he will now very likely, just about definitely, be participating with the Team USA in the next Ryder Cup, which they're going to need to hopefully get things turned around after the debacle that was the last one. All right, that'll do it for the first hour. Second hour, a lot of audio to play for you. Jay Walker, our only guest, joins us, so we'll keep things loose. We'll keep things fun, hanging out here on a Monday inside the Beal and Hebert studios. This is The LohDown, ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette, 104.1 in Lake Charles. 1 hour down, another one to go. Stay right here. Around Acadiana, community means supporting the businesses that make our hometown special. That's why we're proud to spotlight local companies that are certified South Louisiana.
Delta Home Center and Delta Trailer Sales, your one-stop shop for utility and cargo trailers. Heavy-duty dump and gooseneck trailers, portable buildings, cabins, decks, porches, fences, carports, and site-built metal shops. Located at Exit 7 in Carencro or at deltatrailersales.com.
When you support local businesses, you strengthen the communities we call home. Shop local, support local. Certified South Louisiana.
It's 9 a.m. You just received a voicemail from your boss.
Hey, Janet, heads up. We got an important meeting coming up Thursday. The big guys are coming into town, so I need you in charge of lunch, and we've got to look good.
Luckily for Janet, she knows a place, and she knows her boss will be impressed.
Honey Baked Ham can cater your next event. Delicious and freshly sliced deli trays, box lunches with sandwich, chips, and dessert. Or try our fresh salad boxes, and the perfect touch with a meat and cheese tray. Honey Baked Ham Company.
Are you looking for an eye expert? Well, visit Acadiana Optics in Broussard, locally owned, founded, and operated by Broussard native Dr. Lindsay Dugas. From comprehensive eye exams for glasses and contacts to diabetic exams, pediatric eye care, emergency eye care, cataract and LASIK evaluations, Acadiana Optics provides family eye care for all vision needs. Enjoy state-of-the-art technology, designer frame selections, prescription Maui Jim sunglasses, and custom glasses and contacts. Acadiana Optics in Broussard. Call today to schedule your appointment.
Your Honor, I would like to introduce exhibit number 1.
MeTV is America's #1 classic television network.
There can only be one number 1, me.
MeTV features over 60 of the greatest classic TV series each week.
Go with the winner.
Enjoy dramas, comedies, westerns, sci-fi, and more.
You just watch me.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
MeTV is memorable entertainment television.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Carencro Lafayette, KLCJ-FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.
I'm Nick DeLuca. Dusty May heading to Dallas. Michigan head coach finalizing a deal to coach the Mavs after winning the national title with the Wolverines. May led Michigan to a 64-13 record over 2 seasons in Ann Arbor. Also led FAU to back-to-back NCAA tournaments, including the 2023 Final Four. May, the first college head coach to take an NBA job since former Michigan coach John Beilein went to Cleveland to join the Cavaliers in 2019. He's the first to leave college immediately after a national title since Kansas's Larry Brown in 1988. Michigan working toward hiring current assistant coach Mike Boynton Jr. as interim head coach, brings head coaching experience from Oklahoma State. Elsewhere, free agent Trae Young intending to sign a 4-year, $212 million deal to stay with the Wizards with a player option for year 4. Four-time NBA All-Star declined his $49 million player option back on Monday. Played in just 5 games for the Wizards, averaging 18 points per game.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Tuesday, the NBA draft kicks off. We'll tell you who should be the #1 pick and who could be a big draft day steal. It's on Sportsman like 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Dawson Iserloh prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the LohDown, hour number 2 of 2, here on a Monday edition of the show. ESPN 1037 in Lafayette, 1041 in Lake Charles, anywhere you might be with the ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app and streaming live on our YouTube channel every single day. We are with you until 3 p.m., getting to some of the other topics of the weekend that we haven't covered yet, going a little more in-depth in a couple of these other stories, and talking with our one and only guest on Mondays, the voice of the Raging Cajuns, Jay Walker. He's with us in just less than 15 minutes. While we were in the commercial break, Argentina put the exclamation point on their win over Austria, and Lionel Messi continues to add to the legacy of being perhaps the greatest player in the history of the sport, according to some. Scored his 2nd goal of the day, his 5th goal of the tournament. Argentina has outscored their opponents 5-0 Lionel Messi has outscored their opponents 5-0. He got a second goal. It was a crazy play, too, off a couple deflections and missed opportunities. The goalie way out of position for Austria. A couple defensemen just trying to stand in net, maybe get a deflection, and Messi somehow snuck it by. So he became the most prolific goal scorer in World Cup history in the first half, and then he added one for good measure in stoppage time to put Austria away. Austria had some chances late to tie this thing up, but couldn't quite get one to go. And then Argentina adds it 2-0 there in the backside of it. So Austria now still sitting at 3 points. Jordan and Algeria at the bottom of this group both lost their first match. They will face off, I believe, later today. But Argentina looking like they will be in very, very good spot, obviously, to move on. I think they have now clinched a spot in the next round. They just haven't quite clinched the group yet because their final opponent could end up having a chance to tie them. But that's all going to be tiebreaker stuff to be figured out later. We will, by the way, do today's red card rundown, focusing a lot more on Team USA, their big win over Australia on Friday, kind of the ramifications of that, what it means for them in the next round, what can they kind of do moving forward. We will do that at the bottom of the hour, after the Jay Walker conversation. That's when we'll do our red card rundown for the day. So, a lot to get to, as we mentioned, and a lot we already talked about. I did want to say Jack Besh held a free camp over the weekend. It was awesome. So this was pretty cool. And James was over there. James had a bunch of photos and videos for social media. I got a chance to go to the one a couple weeks prior that was put on by Trey Harris, the former Como star. And so to see some of these guys coming back to the area, I just think it's really, really cool. We talked about that a lot with Trey. And it's the same thing with Jack. And so, the other thing about this one, to be honest with you, pretty emotional as well. Plenty of you probably familiar with the story, the very tragic story of Jack Besh's brother Tiger passing a couple years back in that terrible tragedy on Bourbon Street. Well, they got some new field turf over at STM, and they decided they wanted to pay tribute to Tiger Besh by putting his number at the 7-yard line in honor of the number 7 that he wore. Really cool gesture, and Jack Besh gave his thoughts on that becoming a reality and it being a bit of a surprise to him.
Be able to just go spread my brother's name, just make sure that legacy lives on, especially to be able to come back and do it at STM with the newly done 7 behind me, and just memoriam of my brother has just been really special to just be able to be here with all my closest friends and family, to be able to just come back and get back to the community in my brother's name.
I had noticed the 7 until now, so how does that feel to see that on there?
Yeah, it's pretty special, like I said, just knowing that every time, people come to the stadium in general, like everybody's say, oh, what's the 7 for? Well, what's the meaning of that? And there's always going to be a story, his story, his name is always going to be spoken because everybody's always going to wonder, what's the 7 for? And so we'll always be able to tell them, people will be able to tell them the story of my brother, keep his legacy going. And it's really just so special that they put this 7 on the field for us, and we're really just so thankful.
He went on to kind of further it and said that this was a surprise to him by STM to do it like that.
Yeah, it was actually a surprise given to us, to our family by STM. Coach Dave LeBlanc was one of my best friends' dad. He's one of our coaches at STM. I think it was his idea to come out here and put that. And again, it just means the world to our family because everybody's going to ask what the 7 means. And so my brother's name is always going to be spoken.
Jack also talked about the camp in general and how cool it is to have some, pretty big-time names around to help him. Guys like Garrett Nussmeier and Mason Smith being there. He spoke about the support that he's gotten for a big thing like this to go on.
Yeah, it was amazing, just to have the love in the sport. Everybody's, not close to here. It takes a lot of time and money to be able to come travel all the way down here. And so the fact that they made the effort, not only them, but all my friends, they made the effort to come and be with us for this special event really just means a lot and shows them, shows who they are as people and as humans. That's why I surround myself with people, because whenever you have guys that do stuff like this, it just shows how close the friendship is.
It was, from what I understand, a free camp as well. Pretty cool gesture by Jack Besh. He also, in conclusion here, he talked about representing the city of Lafayette and what he's been able to do so far in the National Football League and the idea of keeping that rolling.
I mean, like I said, it means the world. The dream was to always make it to the NFL, and it started, on this field. This is where the dream came true. This is where the dream came alive. I've had great mentors along the way. Coach Lance Strother, I remember the talks that we'd have right here on this field, on this track, just talking about the future, what it would hold, just always saying that, if we keep the faith, keep God first and work hard and do what others aren't willing to do, that anything is possible. With Almighty Lord and my brother, right there being the greatest guardian angel, we made it happen. But we're excited to just keep elevating.
Really, really cool stuff. And wishing Jack the best, wishing Trey the best. And they're not the only ones as well. Just a lot of cool stories of people coming back to the area. And you root for those guys, right? Easy to do so, especially when they do continue to kind of come back and support. And it is a prideful thing. I'm not from Lafayette originally. I think most of you know that from New Orleans, a couple hours down the road. And there's a lot of that in New Orleans as well. But the people who are from Acadiana are pretty prideful about it. And I think you see that, some guys like Dustin Poirier, who've never shied away from being from Acadiana, being from Lafayette. They'll talk about any chance they get. And that's a good thing. I think that speaks a lot about, community being a part. And like Trey's comments last week when, we had some audio from him and, I had the chance to be there to ask him some questions as well. But it was like, he mentioned this community raised me, like people who supported me, like people around me that just made me better and pitched in and did this to help me and did that to help me. That is a special thing about this area, at least from my comparison points of other places I've been and stuff. So cool to hear, no doubt about it, with Jack Besh. The other audio I have to bring to you is College World Series related. As I mentioned, it's been cool for me to have a chance to play you some of these audio clips since the games have been broadcast on the ESPN family of networks, and we are, of course, an ESPN affiliate. Karl Ravech on the call. When Oklahoma got going early on Saturday in Game 1, it was Dayton LaChance who's having a postseason that you dream about. This is what sounded like as he hit a big homer early in this series that kind of set the tone for the Oklahoma Sooners.
And now the stolen base threat moves to second base, and LaChance got a 2-0 count. And he gets into one to deep center field. Owen Hull going back. He is at the track, the wall. He leaps. It's gone. Dayton LaChance, take your time. That's a 2-run blast, his 17th of the year. And, man, it continues for the Sooners.
So LaChance hit his 17th homer of the year right there to get Oklahoma going, and he didn't have to wait very long for his 18th because later in the game he did it yet again.
Vaquero ready. He went up there, and LaChance golfs one to left field, and this one is also gone. Whoa, into the bleachers. LaChance leaves again.
Past that, Oklahoma kept it rolling the bats. I mean, this Oklahoma offense, where does it come from in the postseason, man? They've been unbelievable, and they continue to extend out their lead in what ultimately ended up being a pretty comfortable win for them in the first game. This is the sound of them making that lead an even 4.
You got zero chance to throw him out there. His 18th stolen base on the year.
McDuffie gives up one. That's going to be an RBI after the stolen base pays off. Camden Johnson's second hit. Sooners 7, Carolina 3.
7-3 was the lead at that point. Single runs added in the 6th and the 9th for Oklahoma. They would defeat the Tar Heels 9-3 and move themselves just one game away from winning the College World Series as a team that barely got in the field in the first place. But Sunday was a new day, and North Carolina came out with a different mentality despite their ace getting gotten to there, obviously, in the first game. They had to come from behind, though, yet again. Oklahoma led this game 2-0 in the very early stages. Tar Heels would bounce back, though, to take a 3-2 lead, and then they extended it when they went yard themselves.
Touched in the third inning for 3 runs. Another one driven to right. Thanks for going. Owen Hall goes yard. It's 4-2 Carolina. A Renaissance man goes rescue man with his 9th bomb of the year that traveled 414 feet at 109 miles an hour.
I just love playing these audio clips because of the energy and the atmosphere that you can hear. And like, I want college baseball to continue to grow. And I do think the sights and sounds of things like this are pretty easy to see and to match the energy. Last one I got for you. North Carolina led it 4-2. They needed some insurance. They got some insurance. Nicholson went yard in the 7th to give North Carolina a lead that they would never relinquish. This is what it sounded like via Karl Ravech once again and the ESPN team.
The 3-2 to Nicholson is lifted to left, and it is deep. Did Cooper Nicholson go yard? Bang into the wall, and it goes over for a 2-run home run for Nicholson. 6-2 North Carolina.
So we get a winner-take-all Game 3. That is going to be a fun one tonight. We will see who the arms are that are left in this series, of course, always a factor when you get to the third game, bringing some guys back. An incredible number, by the way, that I do want to mention about yesterday's win for North Carolina. They've got this freshman who is absolutely unbelievable. But they started Lynch, and Lynch was cruising. Lynch went 4 innings, and he did give up the 2 runs, but those were in the first, right? So he's pitching well. Well, he has to remove himself because he's not feeling right. So Glauber comes in, this freshman. North Carolina has not lost a game that this freshman has pitched in. I believe they are 19-0 now in the games he enters. He himself has a 12-0 record. He went 5 shutout innings, gave up 1 hit, walked 2, struck out 8. His season ERA down to 2.05. Did throw 65 pitches, so I know there's already been a lot of people speculating about whether or not Glauber will be eligible and be available tonight for the Tar Heels. But if he is, man, he has been special. And as we mentioned yesterday, the offense for the Heels came to life a little bit. We'll see. I still think Oklahoma's a team of destiny, so I still like their chances. But LaChance did go 0 for 4 in Game 2 after the 2-homer performance in Game 1, so we will decide it all tonight. Winner-take-all Game 3, the last collegiate sporting event of the 2025-2026 academic calendar year. We'll take a timeout here for now. We'll talk more about this series and the other happenings in the world of sports with our friend Jay Walker, the voice of the Raging Cajuns. He's with us next on the LohDown.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Make sure you celebrate America's 250th birthday with Lafayette Stars and Stripes, held on Saturday, July 4th at Park International in downtown Lafayette. There'll be kids' activities, pop-up shops, food vendors, musical performances by Sold Out, Rusty Matuire and Zydeco Crush, and DJ Digital, and fireworks at night to round it all out. This is a free family event, so make sure to mark your calendars for Lafayette Stars and Stripes, presented by Lafayette Consolidated Government, LUS, LFT Fiber, Serving Good Vibes, AVA, and Delta Media Corp.
Make sure to set your alarm and tune in Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock for Sports Shorts here on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Join me, Ronnie Rance, and the Sports Shorts team of Tommy Christsan, Hunter McCann, and the crazy man, Joel Davis, as we break down the sports and teams that you love. The LSU Tigers, New Orleans Saints, and everything in between. Tune in Saturday mornings from 10 to noon for Sports Shorts here on Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Tax season doesn't have to be stressful. Not with Black & Gold Tax Service in your corner. Conveniently located on Main Street in Broussard, we offer in-office appointments and virtual consultations. You can upload your documents to our secured portal, and we offer secure digital drop-offs. Members of the Better Business Bureau, we proudly serve South Louisiana and all 50 states with integrity, expertise, and personalized care. Visit blackandgoldtax.com and let Black & Gold Tax Service make taxes easy. Black & Gold Tax Service, where accuracy meets Acadiana pride.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Oh, look who's here.
Everybody Loves Raymond is on MeTV.
Who told you that?
Raymond!
America's #1 classic TV network.
Nothing even comes close.
Enjoy 2 back-to-back episodes every weeknight.
We're doing it twice.
Watch Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, it's all about you, Raymond.
Weeknights starting at 8 on MeTV.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
The experts at Web.com want to build your business a successful website for free, just like we did for these current Web.com customers.
We've looked at other website designers. There's nobody better than Web.com.
Web.com can build your website in as little as 7 days free. Plus, we'll promote it on all the major search engines. If after 30 days you're happy, we'll continue to provide promotion, hosting, support, and maintenance, all for one low monthly fee. If not, cancel and pay nothing.
If you're in business and you don't have a web presence, you won't be
be taken seriously.
Call right now and you'll also get a free .com or .net domain name for your new website powered by VeriSign, the world's leading domain name provider.
No upfront charge for site build, after which ongoing fees apply. Rights to site are relinquished when canceled. Domain included during active service, after which fees apply.
855-719-3099. 855-719-3099. 855-719-3099. That's 855-719-3099.
Can't get enough discussion about the college programs you know and love? Not to worry. Dawson has you covered coming up right here on the LohDown with D-Loh.
We welcome you back into the show. Our one and only guest most of the time on Mondays is our friend Jay Walker, the voice of the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, who is in the off-season of sorts for the Cajuns athletic department, of course, but still chopping it up with us on a variety of different topics. Jay, first of all, happy Father's Day, a day late to you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
How was your Father's Day? What did you take part in?
It was relatively quiet. I cooked some burgers on the grill in the backyard, and a couple of the kids were able to come over. So it was a relatively quiet day, but it was spent at home and flipping burgers. And there are worse ways to spend a day.
No doubt, there are worse days to spend a day. I want to start just big picture here with the Cajuns and kind of the new implications of the transfer portal. I had this thought because the Dusty May news dropped today that he's going to take the Dallas Mavericks job, and it just always does make me think. Sometimes I think these situations they have a lot of factors that are independent of like the health of the sport in general. But I thought about like how junior college coaches have always had to approach it, and maybe like where some universities and some college programs might have already started to adopt a little bit of a junior college approach. Like, hey, we'll get these players for a couple of years and we'll hope they're really good while they're here, and then they'll be elsewhere before we know it. It feels to me still like UL's mostly fighting against this and actually having a good amount of success in a lot of sports in doing so. What do you make of where this program is as a whole and how it's probably still going to try to buck some of the trends that other, programs might have to take more drastic measures, right, to just kind of try and stay afloat?
I think that the Cajun philosophy, and you can go back to, when Billy Napier was the head coach, and then when he left, and that's about the time that NIL and the portal started to really jump up. I think that the philosophy, and I think this is throughout most of the teams that the Cajuns have, is we're going to, and this is a generalization, we're going to recruit young players, we're going to bring them in, we're going to develop them, and we're going to give them, culture is an overused word sometimes, but we're going to bring them into a culture that they want to be part of because they feel loved and appreciated by their university and their coaches. We have watched, that has been Mike's philosophy in football. If you look, what do we bring in? Like 5 guys out of the portal this year. You lose 5 or 6 every year. Men's basketball, I think, got a little bit harder than what they were hoping. And, baseball is, I think the thing that really helped baseball this year is that so many of them were freshmen. Now, if they were sophomores, would all of them have come back? I don't know the answer to that. But I do know that I think that the fact that 5 of those guys were freshmen that were big contributors, I think the fact they were so young helped them return because it's, hey, this was fun. I want to do it again. But I think the philosophy of we're going to recruit, develop, and love on these kids and hopefully be able to retain them, I honestly think that that's something that permeates throughout all of the teams at the university.
Speaking of which, one of those guys, kind of one of the things that matches that is bringing back Lunch Winfield at quarterback. I try to fight against it at this point in the year, so I'm almost breaking one of my own rules. Has your brain at all switched into football mode, even in the slightest?
No.
I'm with you there.
I'm heck, there's another college baseball game on tonight, and when that game's over, I'll take a deep breath. And honestly, Dawson, I've been doing the last couple of days is I've gotten, some of our schedules for the 26-27 athletic season, and I'm already working on conflicts and who's going to need to go where and all sorts of stuff, because that's what we do during the off season. We start mapping things out for next year. But for me, traditionally, football starts at media day, and then from then on, I stay pretty much in football mode. But I try not to get too much into it between the end of the baseball season and media day, because it's really, I consider that to be the downtime. Okay, that's almost like vacation for me, and then it's time to turn around and get back into football.
I'm with you on that. I'm actually going to save any lunch-related question for the next time we have you on. I will ask you about tonight's game. We get Oklahoma, North Carolina. My only request for this series was Game 3, because I thought it'd be nice to come home on a Monday and have something to look forward to, and obviously, for my purposes, have something more to talk about tomorrow. Any big thoughts this Oklahoma? Like, if they pull this off, it won't be the most historic run ever, but it'll be a team that finished pretty far down. North Carolina has never finished the job despite being so close so many times. You found yourself rooting one way or another? You just want to watch a good baseball game?
I think I find myself rooting for Carolina a little bit because of the fact that, they've been there knocking on the door a couple of times and it hasn't happened for them. Frankly, I was surprised that we're having Game 3. Oklahoma had played and they've swung the bat so well that, North Carolina finally found a way to slow down that Oklahoma offense a little bit. And that team has been rolling since they, first got to, for the regional. I mean, when they've gone out and swung the bat like they haven't swung it all year long. And they finally got calmed down a little bit yesterday, but I'm a little surprised we have Game 3 because Oklahoma had been playing so well.
I want to close it, Jay, asking you about the U.S. Open. We don't have to get in specifics and get all the way down the golf rabbit hole here, but I thought it was really fascinating yesterday that Wyndham Clark was basically rooted against actively by an American crowd, he being an American trying to win the U.S. Open, not like he's from a different country, because sometimes it gets a little bit national when it comes to these tournaments. And the fact that he probably, I just kept thinking, wasn't expecting that, right? He knows he doesn't have the highest approval rating because of his antics last year. But I'm trying to compare it to other sports, and it's like, man, almost every sport, going into it, if you're a road team, you talk all week about what the crowd's going to be like and, hey, how are we going to try and mitigate that? I just wondered if you had any thoughts when you get into a situation like this where you don't expect to be the villain and all of a sudden everyone, for one reason or another, is rooting against you, and how that might have affected him yesterday in such an individual sport as well.
Well, I'll tell you what. With everything that and you're right. I mean, it was in New York. They're a little rowdy, and yeah. But for him, I think he channeled that and used it to his advantage. Some athletes are able to do that, and I think he did. I think that was a little motivation for him, and he wound up losing to a shot or two shots on par yesterday, but was still able to go ahead and get it done. And I'll tell you, I thought his second shot on 18 was just like, oh my God. I didn't think that he could put it where he did, and then he putts to within like a foot. That was pretty impressive to me.
It was, and he didn't even like it at first, and then I think he probably realized once he got up there, it went a little further than he thought it did. So fascinating stuff. Jay, I appreciate your time as always. Continuing to enjoy what downtime you have, and we'll talk again soon.
Look forward to it. Thanks so much for having me.
That is Jay Walker, the voice of the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, with us here on Mondays, talking mostly Cajun stuff, but here in the offseason, we'll mix it up on a few other topics as well. All right, so here's what we're going to do the rest of the show. We obviously have Monday Movers to close things out, as we always do. When we come back, though, I want to do Red Card Rundown. We've been doing a World Cup update every single day on the show here since it started, and I'll go back a good ways and do most of it on the U.S., their win on Friday, what it meant, what their path moving forward could be, and how exciting it's been for like the U.S. soccer team to have raised the hopes of the people in this country. So we'll do that. We'll talk some World Cup after the break, and then we'll finish the show out with Monday Movers to close. This is the Lowdown on a Monday.
This is the Lowdown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up!
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys! Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros took 2 out of 3 from the Cleveland Guardians at home this past weekend, including a 9-3 win on Friday, where Jose Altuve and Jeremy Pena combined for 3 home runs. The series win improved the team's record to 37-42. Next up is a road series against the Toronto Blue Jays. Game 1 is tonight with first pitch from the Rogers Center scheduled for 6:07. You can listen to the action on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. It'll be a winner-take-all Game 3 tonight in Charles Schwab Field to decide a College World Series champion. Oklahoma won Game 1 9-3 in 14 innings on Saturday, but North Carolina kept itself alive by winning 6-2 yesterday. Tonight's Game 3 will begin at 6 o'clock. The United States once again won convincingly in the World Cup, beating Australia 2-0 back on Friday afternoon. The win secured Group D and will advance the team to the knockout stages with one match to go against Turkey A. This is the first time in World Cup history that the U.S. has won its group with one game to go. Once again, Wyndham Clark is your U.S. Open champion after hanging on a wire-to-wire finish at Shinnecock in Long Island. He won with a score of 4 under, with LSU's Sam Burns just behind at 3 under. This is the second time that Clark has won this major. I'm James Mesh, and this has been your 2-minute drill on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana Sports Station, your home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Road coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters. Celebrate America's 250th birthday, powered by Regional Homes of Opelousas and ESPN 103.7 and 104.1. We're giving you the chance to win a 250th Anniversary of America flag and flagpole kit. Listen on air for the American Trivia question, and you could be one of our lucky winners. We're giving away 5 flag and 5 flagpole kits during the week of July 4th. Thanks to our friends at Regional Homes of Opelousas. Salute, and happy 250th birthday, America.
The heart of Acadiana is its local businesses, the people, families, and companies that help our communities thrive. Here's a message from a proud certified South Louisiana business.
Candyland Cottage is the place to satisfy all your cravings. Find delicious ice creams, fresh fudge, truffles, hot dogs, sausage po' boys, Frito pies, and homemade shakes. Visit in Scott and Rain for a sweet treat. Plan your next birthday party or field trip at Candyland Cottage.
Shop local, support local. Certified South Louisiana.
Looking for a great deal on golf this summer? Head to Farm Alley Golf Course for the Sizzlin' Summer Special. Every Tuesday through Thursday, tee off anytime between noon and 3:30 and enjoy 18 holes of championship golf, including a cart for just $55. That's unbeatable summer golf at an unbeatable price. Gather your friends, sharpen your game, and make the most of your afternoons at Farm Alley Golf Course. Book your tee time today and take advantage of the Sizzlin' Summer Special, only at Farm Alley.
We are the soldiers of the Louisiana Army National Guard. We are your neighbors. We are your sons and daughters. While we serve part-time, we are learning valuable life and job skills. We are earning money for college, for trade and technical schools, and for certifications. We are proud to serve both our country and our home state. We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
We are Lions International, the world's largest service organization. We are volunteers committed to strengthening our communities and supporting those in need, one act of kindness at a time. For more than a century, Lions have been serving a world in need, right here in our community and around the world. Lions International makes the impossible possible. This is your invitation to join us, because the only thing missing from our mission to make a difference is you. Visit lionsclubs.org to find a local Lions Club near you.
D-Loh stays locked in on a lot of sports. Soccer just isn't one of them, except when the World Cup comes around. It's time to head to the pitch for today's Red Card Rundown.
We are still enjoying the World Cup here on the LohDown. We are doing it day in and day out. I had a fun World Cup weekend of watching here. Of course, though, it all started with the U.S. on Friday. We got to talk about this a little bit during the show because it was a 2 o'clock start, so the first hour or so of this match obviously took place while we were on the airwaves. The Americans are building the excitement even further. That is right. Here on the Red Card Rundown, we start with the USA going 2-0 so far in group stages because they defeated Australia 2-0. Cameron Burgess scored an own goal in the 11th minute that helped the U.S. get out to the early start, and then Alex Freeman delivered in the 43rd minute. Both those goals we were able to talk about while we were on the airwaves. After we went off the air at 3 o'clock, the Americans ramped up the defensive efforts. They had, a less than stellar second half compared to what they did in the first, but when you're up 2-0 in a match like this, you can afford to be a little bit more conservative. And this is another really, really good performance. You're looking at expected goals. I obviously don't know all that much about advanced analytics in soccer, but I do know about the statistic known as expected goals. And essentially, what that is it's a calculation of how likely your team were to have scored. Think about this. I guess a good comparison for it is wins above replacement in baseball, right? It's attempting to put a lot of complicated things into an easy-to-understand number, right? And that's what wins above replacement does in baseball. Expected goals is kind of doing that with, hey, if we played this thing out on average, yes, of course, sometimes a ball bounces one way and goes into the net, and maybe sometimes a keeper makes a great save. But, if we were to play this match out with the way that the ball has been handled, possession, number of passes, shots on goal, effective shots, if we were to average this out, what would the score likely be? And since soccer is very binary, right? 1 being a yes, 0 being a no, and if you have a goal, you score 1 goal. They don't give you 0.8 of a goal for not being as impressive, and they don't give you 1.3 goals if you score 1 that's fantastic, right? So expected goals is basically trying to boil all that down into one statistic. The U.S. was at 1.08 in this game, so they scored almost a full goal above what they were expected to, but Australia was at 0.35. So them being held off the scoreboard, according to the advanced numbers here, was pretty appropriate because they really just did not generate all that many chances. So the Americans now, look, you go through after a 2-0 win here. Obviously, they beat Paraguay 4-0, and in that one, their expected goal total was only 1.42. So still, the numbers are suggesting that the Americans are a little bit over their skis here. I think the own goals play a factor in that. I actually did do a little bit of statistical analysis back in the day about expected goals and what the stat means when I was in grad school at Florida State. So I'm not trying to get over, let's simplify it back down, right? The Americans have outscored their opponents 6-1. The numbers do suggest they've been fortunate to do so, but I don't think that takes away the fact that they have been in control of both matches and they have won both matches rather comfortably, right? So after this, you go, hey, what does it mean? Well, the Americans have clinched the group. This doesn't happen all that often to where you already are up with a 2-0 record and no one can catch you. But the way it works out, Turkey is already 0-2. So even if the U.S. were to lose
right? The best anyone else in the group can do is get to 6 points. Australia and Paraguay both have 3 apiece. So if one of them wins that match, they'll get to 6. But the first tiebreaker before goal differential is head-to-head. And the Americans have head-to-head wins over Australia and Paraguay. Turkey, even with a win against the U.S., only gets to 3 points and therefore cannot catch them. So the Americans will win group number D, or group letter D. It's not a number. And they will be moving on to the knockout stages. The other really good thing about what the Americans have done is we talked about winning the group. Look, it's awesome to win the group. I think it's a signal of, hey, strength and being in good form. The bracket also sets up based on where you finish in your group. So a first-place team in Group D, which we've been going through, and some of the projected brackets of how far this thing could go out, the first-place team in Group D finishes third, or places against one of the third-place teams from either Group B, E, F, I, or J. In addition to that, you match up with the winner potentially in the next round, if you get past the round of 32, in the round of 16 against either the winner of Group G or another third-place team from either A, E, H, I, or J. Remember, the third-place things, only the top 8 third-place teams are getting in, so that's why they don't know the exact group number of which you'd be playing a third-place team from. Group G, by the way, just to be keeping this thing rolling, consists of Egypt, Iran, Belgium, and New Zealand. Belgium was the favorite in that group. Belgium has been a national power in the past. I've actually talked about Belgium on the show a decent amount. And Belgium has not won a match yet. They only have 2 points. They have played draws in both their contests. The leader of Group G right now is Egypt. They do have Mo Salah, but Egypt just won their first ever World Cup match yesterday. So the point is, you look ahead here, the Americans are going to have a favorable matchup, we think, in their round of 32 against the third-place team from one of these groups. Then they could potentially go up against a group winner in Egypt that was not at all expected to be a group winner and that most people wouldn't have had in the round of 16, or another third-place team. So you start to see a path here. You start to see, and you look down the road a little bit at what this team could be. There was some negative pub over the weekend. Tim Howard, famous Team USA goalie for a long time, basically said it's impossible for the U.S. to win the World Cup. He thought they'd have to play their best match ever 3-4 times in a row. He doesn't see it as even being possible. On the other hand, though, if you match up with a few teams that you are on paper better than in the round of 32 and the round of 16, and you get to a quarterfinal before you play a team that we consider to be at your level or better than you, that's a really nice head start. And even if you look through to some of the potential quarterfinal matchups, I know it's been publicized, like people are posting the potential brackets of what it could look like. There's some more where you go, that looks kind of favorable, right? The winner of Group C would be one of them. And right now, Group C consists of Brazil, Morocco, Scotland, and Haiti. But there's a bit of a, crowded leaderboard up there. Both Brazil and Morocco have 4 points. Scotland has 3. Haiti has none. But any one of those 3 teams could jump up and get there. And, they are not, while Brazil, look, good team, Neymar, they got some names you're going to recognize. Scotland's been really good so far. Morocco had a great run the last time around. Those are not the Germany, England, Spain, France's of the world that are expected to contend to win this whole tournament. So there's your update on where the U.S. is. It is really, really exciting at this point to see that this team, I think, has kind of captured the excitement of the American fan, and they might not be done yet. They might just be getting started, perhaps. What it does create for, by the way, we'll close on this before we move on to some other scores, some other things that I've noticed while watching World Cup action for the weekend. The Americans are going to play essentially a scrimmage on Thursday, and that's not perfectly ideal because they're going to face Turkey, who has already been eliminated. They cannot move on because they do not have head-to-head wins over the second or third-place team, so even a win for them would get them to 3, and they cannot take the head-to-head tiebreaker to get into third place in the group, so they will not move on. And the Americans have already won the groups, right? There's basically nothing at stake here. That's not ideal, but what it does allow the Americans to do is potentially rest Christian Pulisic, who missed their second match, obviously with that injury, give him some extra time to heal up, rest some of their other players. Tim Weah's an older guy, right? Get this team fresher. At the same time, though, I do worry a little bit. There's been so much pageantry and emotion and excitement around these first 2 matches. Getting yourself out of that hyper-competitive environment for the third match that, look, whether, you're going to try and convince yourself and otherwise and you want to play great, and we've understand, like, what NFL games look like when a division's already clinched or something. But getting yourself out of that hyper-competitive mentality, I don't know if is the best thing for this team that's going to then go right back into it in the round of 32 where it's do or die. It is win or go home
from there on out. Anyway, just a thought I had. After the U.S. won on Friday, Morocco beat Scotland 1-0. I just talked about that hyper-competitive Group C that has 3 teams all still in the mix. Brazil beat Haiti 3-0. They didn't have any trouble there. And then Paraguay beat Turkey, which is what we alluded to before, the fact that now Turkey has been eliminated and they will not have any chance to move on. And they were thought to be the biggest competitors to the Americans in this group. That has not turned out to be the case. The Netherlands all over Sweden 5-1 to start Saturday's action. The Netherlands feel like they've got some things to prove. They had a tough result in their first when they drew with Japan. They get the big win there. They'll face Tunisia in their final round. We are expecting to see the Netherlands in the knockout stages. Germany survived Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast, who already had a win, a big surprising result for them over Ecuador, getting their first one. They were up 1-0 in this match. It took Germany till the 68th minute to tie it. It took them till stoppage time to get the go-ahead goal. So Germany survives here after, what was the interesting opener for them where they went down to Curacao and then scored 7 unanswered goals. They now do get the win against Ivory Coast. They're going to be in good position to win their group, but it took a lot more than we thought it would. Ivory Coast still very much alive. Curacao and Ecuador played to a draw, and then Japan was all over Tunisia 4-0. To Sunday, Spain handled Saudi Arabia 4-0. Belgium and Iran played to a draw. I watched that Belgium team again. They just do not look like the contender we thought they potentially could be. As I said, direct impact on the Americans because they could match up with the winner of Group G. Uruguay and Cape Verde played to a 2-2 draw. Cape Verde continues to be impressive in this tournament despite their small size. They have played Spain to a draw, now Uruguay to a draw, both former World Cup champions, and little old Cape Verde has played them even so far. They'll have a chance if they beat Saudi Arabia in their final match of group play. Cape Verde will comfortably move on into the knockout stages. And then Egypt over New Zealand. It was 1-0 New Zealand. I fell asleep before this one was over, caught up this morning, and saw that Egypt got an equalizer in the 58th minute. Then Mo Salah gave them the lead. They added one more for good measure. Egypt wins their first ever World Cup match, and they could be a team that the U.S. could match up with down the line with Mo Salah and company. Today, Argentina and Austria, France and Iraq, Norway and Senegal, Jordan and Algeria. A lot more excitement here to come. I'm enjoying it. I continue to enjoy it. I thought I would. It's been overwhelmingly exceeding my expectations. The Americans actually being good for a change and winning games has been awesome for sure. So I've enjoyed that element of it. But, and by the way, I did want to mention as well with that Argentina and Austria match that was earlier today, Messi scored a goal, the first one, and that made him the all-time World Cup leading scorer, I do believe. So Messi and Argentina, of course, looking to win yet another World Cup in Messi's last, and he now has a mark that is very impressive. Best World Cup goal scorer statistically in the history of the sport. All right, we'll continue to do it every day. The Red Card Rundown. This was a little bit of a longer one. We had a lot to get to with the U.S. We will be back tomorrow. For now, though, let's take a timeout. Let's wrap up the show on the other side. We've got AFR to set you up for, but we'll give an update to the poll question. We'll give some final thoughts. Obviously, we got UNC and Oklahoma tonight in a winner-take-all Game 3 at the World Series, which I'm fired up for. So we'll do all that before we sign off. This is The LohDown, ESPN Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
This is The LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Bluebell Ice Cream has been making the best ice cream in the country for more than 100 years, and they have unveiled a new flavor just in time for the 4th and July. It is Red, White, and Bluebell. Limited edition flavor has strawberry ice cream loaded with succulent strawberries, a creamy homemade vanilla, and a smooth blueberry-flavored ice cream that has real blueberries. Let's celebrate the red, white, and the blue with Red, White, and Bluebell. Currently available in half-gallon and pint sizes at most retailers. Go pick up some Bluebell ice cream today.
ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is your home for the Houston Astros.
And the Astros stun the Mariners.
Hunter Brown, Yordan Alvarez, and the rest of the Astros are looking to get back to the postseason. You can listen to every pitch, hit, and thrilling victory of the Houston Astros.
Incredible!
As Robert Ford and Steve Sparks will be on the call. Tune in this season for live Astros baseball on Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Stop smoking with Alex Goen patented hypnosis.
My name's Robin Fletcher. I've smoked for 46 years. I went to a seminar in March. I took my 3 sisters and my brother-in-law and my sister's best friend and them went. None of them have smoked a cigarette, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
My name is Jen Carpenter. I went to a seminar to stop smoking, and it worked.
The only stop smoking method in America proven useful by the U.S. Patent Office because it reprograms your subconscious. Alex Goen breaks your connection to cigarettes, coffee, stress, driving, even other smokers. No cravings, irritability, or weight gain. You walk in a smoker and you walk out free. Only $59.99 or your money back. Stop Smoking Seminar Saturday, July 18th, the Hilton Garden Inn Cajun Dome at 2 p.m. Weight loss at 11 a.m. Sign up at alexgoen.com. That's ALEXGOEN. alexgoen.com.
Ready to transform your backyard into the summer paradise you've always dreamed of? With Duplessis Builders custom gunite pool packages, we make it simple to own a stunning, long-lasting, in-ground pool built just for you. Choose from classic designs, all customizable to fit your space, style, and budget. Our pools come with quality finishes, energy-efficient equipment, beautiful lighting, and professional installation from excavation to decking so you can dive in before the next heat wave hits. Don't just dream it, build it. Visit DuplessisBuilders.net.
Need peace of mind with your estate planning? Turn to Beal & Hebert, your trusted hometown lawyers. At Beal & Hebert, we make estate planning simple and stress-free, ensuring your legacy is secure and your future is in the right hands. Don't wait. Schedule your consultation today at BealHebert.com. That's BealHebert.com. Safeguarding your tomorrow today.
You thinking trailers? Think Tibbs. Whether you tug it, tow it, or transport it, Tibbs Trailers is your headquarters for enclosed, flatbed, and hydraulic trailers. You won't find a better selection or a better price than right here. We've got the experts to repair or customize your trailer so it'll be ready for whatever you pull it through. Why would you go anywhere else when you can go to Tibbs Trailers? Now we're talking trailers.
Between Scott and Doosan.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Monday. Is it really Monday already? Plenty of things in the sports world have been on the move in the past week. Question is, have they been moving up or moving down? D-Loh is here to evaluate. It's time for Monday Movers on the LohDown.
Good Mondays. We do Monday Movers. It's kind of our way to sum up the show, sum up the stories of the weekend here, if you missed anything throughout. We start with Lionel Messi. We just mentioned this in the previous segments, but what's moving up on a Monday is Lionel Messi's total goal tally in his World Cup history. He is the most prolific goal scorer now in the history of the World Cup. And now he has room to spare as well on the men's side. He actually passed both all the men and women with his second goal of the day. He's got 5 goals in 2 matches here at the 2026 World Cup. So Messi, what's also moving up, by the way, in addition to the number of goals he's scoring, is his age. He is 38 years old. He's about to turn 39. His birthday's in 2 days, by the way, June 24th. Happy early birthday to Messi. And has 5 goals now. He only had 6. How about this? He only had 6 goals when he got to age 35, and yet he's been on an absolute tear, unbelievable World Cup runs in the last 2, of course, winning the entire thing, and now 5 goals already in the first couple days. By the way, if you're wondering, is that a goal that's going to stand forever? I don't know. Maybe not. Kylian Mbappe has only played in 14 World Cup matches in his career so far, and he has 13 goals scored, so Messi's number of 19 maybe not safe forever, but hey, Messi's got a chance to potentially add to that before he is officially done. What's also moving up is a number of champions. We're going to crown a new one. College baseball world tonight. We get North Carolina. We get Oklahoma. I am picking Oklahoma because I picked them at the beginning of this series. Team of Destiny vibes. I guess I'd rather Carolina win, but not really any strong opinion one way or the other. So we'll see who ends up winning that game. That is I think it's a 6 o'clock first pitch. They've been rotating the start times between 6 and 7 for that one. It is indeed a 6 o'clock first pitch. It's going to be on ESPN. We told you earlier what it sounded like when Carl Ravitch has given some of the home run calls. I am excited about it. I am ready to watch it. We'll see what happens. What's moving down on a Monday is the ERA of the starting pitchers in the Astros and Blue Jays matchup. Hunter Brown is going to face Dylan Cease tonight. I will have a recap up for you, ESPN SouthwestLouisiana.com. The Stros, look, I don't know if it's time to say don't let the Stros get hot because they're not there yet, but they're playing better baseball. They've won 4 of their last 5. They get a couple series wins in a row. They just got done taking 2 or 3 from the Guardians with some good pitching. They took 2 or 3 from Detroit. They took 2 or 3 from the Royals, so they've won 3 series overall. They finished the homestand on a 4-1 stretch. Now they head up to Toronto. They'll play them at 6:07 today. You can listen to that ESPN Southwest Louisiana. 3:07 tomorrow. That game will be broadcast on our sister station, News Talk 98.5, and then a 6:07 start time on Wednesday night. They're straight into Detroit after that. So Toronto and Detroit, 7-game road trip for the Stros going from tonight all the way until Sunday, and it's a battle of the, aces, certainly the Astros ace and Hunter Brown, Dylan Cease, one of the Blue Jays' best arms as well. So we get a pretty good pitching matchup in that one. What's also moving up, number of dollars in Trae Young's bank account, $212 million extension. He will be with the Washington Wizards for the foreseeable future after he was acquired from the Atlanta Hawks last season. And what's also moving down is the number of days until the NBA draft. It's down to 1. We will have the first round of the NBA draft tomorrow. Darren Peterson or A.J. DeBonsa for the first pick seems to still be a hotly contested conversation with a little bit of momentum for Cam Boozer as well. Think it's going to be DeBonsa or Peterson, though, and then some dominoes to fall after that. And what's also moving down is potentially the number of hours, maybe even the number of minutes. We have to wait until we find out who Giannis Antetokounmpo. One more try here. Giannis Antetokounmpo. There we go. Words are tough on Mondays, where he's going to be playing next year. Sounds like he's going to get traded. Milwaukee appears to be ready to make the move. There are 2 suitors, the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat. Celtics trade offer would probably include Jaylen Brown and some draft picks and maybe some other players. The Miami Heat's offer, we would assume, would include Tyler Hero and another combination, some more players and picks beyond that. But regardless, it does seem like the Greek Freaks' run in Milwaukee is getting closer to coming to an end, and he will have to go ahead and find some new places to live, it seems like, and he's on board with that, by the way. And lastly, to close out Monday Movers, what's moving up is the number of major championships Wyndham Clark has won. He gets his second, wins the U.S. Open. But what's also moving up is the number of people who vocally dislike Wyndham Clark, I guess, because of the crowd reactions. I do wonder, he seemingly was pretty, gracious in winning yesterday. He clearly is, hoping he can win back some of those fans. So maybe people will kind of forgive and forget. But you know what I did have the thought of? If he does really want the Americans to move past this, I've got the best idea. The PR plan for Wyndham Clark is pretty simple. As I mentioned before, another kind of fallout factor from him winning this thing is that there's almost certainly going to be Wyndham Clark on the Ryder Cup team next year in 2027. It will be at Adair Manor in Ireland. If Wyndham Clark wants to win back the American people, he needs to go to the Ryder Cup in Ireland next year and just destroy it. He needs to win every match he's a part of. He needs to be the MVP of the Americans winning a Ryder Cup on foreign soil for the first time in a very, very long time. It's also the 100th anniversary of the event, by the way. If Wyndham Clark can find a way to help Team America get the Ryder Cup win next year. Now, look, I know it's a long ways away to be like, hey, you're going to have to be hated for the next 15 months, but then if you get this done, we'll forgive you. I'm just saying, it's the clearest path I see to the people forgiving Wyndham and being all on board. And I will go ahead and say it right now. I'll put it on the record. I've been a little bit of a noted Wyndham Clark hater of late, right? If Wyndham does that and helps the U.S. win the 2027 Ryder Cup, I will say right now, all is forgiven, Wyndham, and we will be cool going forward. I know that probably means a lot to him. He's probably been worried about my thoughts of him the last couple of days while he's been celebrating his second U.S. Open by, quote, opening some grape, as he said, after both now U.S. Open victories. Interesting character, but Wyndham Clark is the U.S. Open champion. We got one major left, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. The Open Championship next month. We got one left. So we got to enjoy it. Major season now 3/4 of the way done. A lot of storylines. We'll head to European soil for the Open Championship next month, and that will put a bow on 2026 majors. Still, of course, we'll have the FedEx Cup playoffs and stuff after that, but it's happening quick. So I need to get to the range. I need to work on the swing this week. Haven't been able to swing a golf club in so long. The amount of rain we've been getting has been ridiculous, and then had some busy schedule stuff before that. So hopefully this week is the week I get the swing straightened out, and maybe I'll begin the journey of becoming a better golfer. All right, appreciate you for joining us here on a Monday edition of the LohDown inside the BLNA Bear Studios. Thanks to James for helping us out. Our one and only guest was Jay Walker today, talking Cajuns, talking College World Series, and a couple of other topics, so thank you to him. Tomorrow's show, going to be a fun one. Fletcher Mackel will join us live. We're going to discuss the Pelicans, their draft potential situation. Is there any trades they could be making? We'll also get his thoughts on the Saints, and a whole lot more. So come hang out with us on a Tuesday edition. For now, though, we turn it over to our friends over at AFR, Matt Moscona, here on ESPN, Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs